Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Chartered Accountants Ireland Employer Spotlight series. So my name is Sinead Fox-Hamilton, and I'm going to be talking to some of our employer partners about ACA opportunities. Now today I am delighted to be joined by Laura Jackson of BDO Northern Ireland. Laura, how are you? Thanks for coming along and joining. How are you keeping?
I'm very well. How are you, Sinead?
I am keeping well. We're both working from home, I see.
I know. I've got the bookcase behind me, installed especially for this episode. No, I'm joking. I am actually working in my study, but I have been following this, so thank you so much for including me. And I'm so pleased to hear that this is going on Instagram and YouTube, because I always wanted to be a famous YouTuber as well as an accountant.
Well, now is your opportunity, and it's brilliant to have you on, Laura, because viewers want to know about live training opportunities, and I know BDO have opportunities to talk about. So maybe if we set the scene, first things first, for the benefit of anybody who isn't clued in, would you tell us a bit about your organisation in the first instance?
Okay, so BDO NI is an independent partnership based in Belfast, serving Indigenous clients. People often say to me, what does BDO stand for? So it's the initials of the founding partners. It's not the British Darts Organisation or Big Day Out or something like that. It's Binder, Diner, Otterman, which are the three founding partners. And we have been serving Indigenous businesses in Northern Ireland for over 30 years. But what's great about it is we have a national reach. So I work with BDO London and I work with BDO Dublin, and we also have a global reach. So I also work for companies that are based in Northern Ireland but have headquarters, say, in the US or Australia. So it's got a global outreach. And I'm almost frightened to say this, but if truth be told, we are BDO is the largest European-led audit, advisory and tax practice before Brexit. So another downside of Brexit is we will lose that little strap line, but that's a wee fact about BDO that not many people know.
Impressed.
So, I know. So I get to work with lots of our European member firms, which I love because I am a bit of a Euro kid. So it's nice when you're talking to somebody in BDO Lyon, or you're talking to somebody in BDO Germany or Brussels. It's just lovely, you know, to have those connections, and that can be part of your everyday, which is exciting, I think, just to have those reach, particularly when we're all working at home remotely and you get to talk to somebody in a different country and find out what's happening with them, how they're dealing with COVID, and just all those sorts of things. So that's a wee bit about BDO.
Amazing, fantastic. And if we look then further into exploring the opportunities that you have live, will you tell us a bit about what do your opportunities look like then for prospective applicants for roles?
Yeah, so we are big advocates of the Chartered Accountants qualification. It's just that you've heard me say about the global qualification, and it's phenomenal. So we sort of, at this stage, when you apply to that route, we sort of assume that academics are given, but we sort of then look beyond the person to see what that person can offer to BDO, and then what can we offer to them. I think that's the thing. So what can we offer to you as an individual? And I think apart from the training, which first and foremost, we're a training firm, we're there to help you develop your personal success and pass those exams. We want to make you into a well-rounded chartered accountant that can advise all sorts of businesses, be transformational. I mean, there's lots of things in our coming down the track at us, Brexit, which I've already mentioned, audit reform, all those things that newly qualified accountants are going to have to deal with and manage. And so we want to make sure that anybody who comes and trains with us can do a really good audit, they can knock out a really good set of accounts and be a really well-rounded advisor that's interested in people's businesses and is interested in listening to clients and advising clients, so that they can be as impactful and successful as possible. So that's what we really try to offer as our offering, and I think we're good at that.
Very much a partnership approach then.
Yeah.
In terms of, and you probably already touched on some of it, in terms of applicants considering BDO, why should they consider your firm, say, over other opportunities?
I suppose I have asked this, and before I was for today, I went back and asked a few of our trainees, so who maybe had other opportunities, and said, why did you choose us? You know, I asked one of our higher learning apprentices and I asked one of our trainees who have just joined this year, and they said it's somewhere where you can be yourself. And not to get too technical about it, there was an article I read recently in the Harvard Business Review. Not that I read that regularly on my downtime. I promise I read other stuff as well. No, I'm joking. But I do read other stuff. They said that 61% of the global workforce conceal part of their identity while they're at work. And I just think that's really sad, because can you imagine the energy in concealing part of your identity that you can't be who you are? So I think that what we offer is you can be exactly who you are, and what we really want to do is maximize your talent and your energy and challenge that so that you with other people. And the other thing that our trainees have told me is that they know that they can ring anyone, and I mean anyone, that's me, could be Brian Murphy, our managing partner, it could be Maybeth Shaw, our tax partner, and that person will help them. So it's access to those people, so that I just know that that's the culture. I can ask anyone anything, and because we have that communication, I think that's sort of reassuring. And that access to us as partners probably enables a faster pace of learning. So we've been practitioners for, well, I joined BDO in 2002, so you could say I've been practicing this for 18 years and still learning every day. But they might get to see me in action, they might learn something, or it might bring something alive that's in the books. So that's why you might consider BDO.
Very much a place for collaboration then, by the signs of it.
Yeah, and challenging, collaborating and challenging and inspiring, and making sure that, we talk about a unifying culture, so what we mean by that is we want everybody to feel comfortable and as diverse as they are, but we want to unify them by collaboration. So everybody should feel entirely comfortable that their opinion matters or what they're bringing to the table matters. And I think it's just doing those basic things really well that makes people feel valued and part of a team.
Absolutely. And what type of people do you want, Laura? What type of applicants?
Well, the way they talk about these days, it's all very trendy about know your tribe and know who you're about. So what I would say is, if you were planning to BDO and you think, am I going to fit in, or what are they looking for? I would always challenge you back to say, well, what value are you bringing to the table? And there will be things, and you might say, well, actually, I'm only 24, what value could I add? I've just been studying all my life. And I would say, well, what's your part-time job? And it's maybe been in a retail environment, and you say, well, actually, there's customer service, you're going to be really good at client servicing. Or they can say, well, I played in a sports team, and then you say, well, then the importance of a team dynamic, how being in a team is a great leveler for ability. So those people who, team players, people who know their value. And the other thing I would say that we look for, because we have such a heavy emphasis on corporate social responsibility, is good corporate citizens. So what can you offer to the BDO community to be a good corporate citizen? And you know this as well as I do, all the changes in the accountancy profession with ethics and all those responsibilities that come with advising companies, how can you be a good corporate citizen is really, really, really important. And I think that if you can demonstrate that in an interview situation, I think that's really useful.
Sounds good. And application wise, what do people need to do?
It is so simple. So you really upload a CV, and from that CV we get invited for interview. And what I would say to you is, if you get invited for an interview, don't be nervous, because we invite you for interview because we think actually you're a good fit, and it's a very informal, communicative chat. And we actually are probably as nervous as you, because we know that when you come in for interview, you are assessing us like, am I going to get a good training firm here? Am I going to get support for my exams? Am I going to get the right amount of leave? What other skills are going to be developed here? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I can see the importance of this year's batch of trainees, we did a bit of work around resilience, agility, adaptability, and that was last September, in 2019. And who knew in March 2020 those skills would be capitalized upon whenever we were all forced to work remotely. And just trust as well. I mean, trust is such an important part. We give out this trust to our trainees, because we're playing this sort of infinite game and we see the bigger picture. And I think just working through the pandemic, we've seen the benefit of, our trainees having those softer skills.
Fantastic, Laura. Well, before we wrap up, any other hints or tips or insights you want to share before we part ways?
I just think there's this myth in our profession that you have to be really, really good at maths to be an accountant, which I hear a lot. I'm really good at using a calculator, but I would tell you that some really good trainees I've seen upon my time, one was a music graduate who made an excellent chartered tax advisor, and one was a psychology graduate who not only passed her chartered exams, but is now a really good advisory consultant. So don't ever rule out this qualification because you think I'm not good at maths. You have to be really good at communication. I think that's the important thing. You have to be really good at listening to your client, and you have to want to play your part. And I think if you have those boxes ticked, you might be on the road to being a good chartered accountant.
Fantastic. What a note to end on. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. As part of the post, we'll pop in the details of the role and where you can apply. Laura, thank you again. We really appreciate it. And folks, until next time, thanks for tuning in and best wishes with any applications.